Welcome to episode 420. You'll catch on to that in a minute. Today we outlined it, so we actually have things to talk about.
Yeah.
We talked about the lack of Tuesday tip. You'll find out more about that.
What?
Welcome to Triflix Cast. We're here.
Wow, we are here.
We are somehow professional videographers and photographers talking about the latest business practices, techniques, and tech with a little bit of fun sprinkled in. I'm Cole. I'm the producer around these parts. To my right is...
I'm Tristan. I'm the one with the sprinkles.
Hey, the sprinkle man. And to my left...
I don't have sprinkles.
That's just David.
I'm
No.
David, and I'm a guy.
No sprinkles here.
No sprinkles over there.
No sprinkles. They're not sharing. I like the ones that are in the
Sprinkle
shape of
love on
stars and like different colors. And I used to eat those just on their own when I was a kid.
That's why you're a psychopath.
Yeah.
You were
ever
the
eat-
sprinkle
I just
eater.
straight up
How do you
sprinkles.
feel about candy corn?
I do not like candy corn. That's just wax that has sugar in it.
You don't like candy corn, but
It
you
tastes
like
like
sprinkles.
wax. Dude, that's just sugar.
Do you like to put them in your teeth and pretend you're Dracula?
Yeah, it's like, oh, let's suck your blood.
Team Jacob.
DNS.
No.
Domain name server.
Somehow we skipped right by this, but we run a media company based out of Columbus, Indiana, called Triflix.
Wow, what a great producer. Way to wheel it back in.
I'm
We
brought
have
you
your
right
right
back
soon.
Oh
around.
man, I'm so engaged.
I'm glad, finally. If you see
He's
this guy
entertained.
nodding off over here on his phone or whatever,
It's because my kid won't sleep.
we're going to kick you off the podcast.
Oh, please let me go home.
She gone.
Yeah.
Whatever, you love us.
Yeah.
I have a news story today. We're just
You
gonna
do?
we're diving right
We
into
don't
it.
have to ask
Tell me.
ChatGPT for one.
No, we do not, because I
Don't you wanna
I had
explain?
time to outline.
If you're not familiar, we read a news story.
I wasn't going to explain it today. Today they get no explanation. I'm not in the explaining
We don't need
mood.
to explain anything today.
It's episode 20 on season 4. If
On
you
the-
don't know what we do, you can leave.
Wait, episode.
Just leave.
Are we going to acknowledge it then?
Acknowledge what?
Season 4, episode 20.
Yeah, what about it? I
It's
just
totally different, and
Yeah.
you know why?
Oh, I just got it. Sorry.
Yeah, man.
I couldn't even focus enough
Dude,
on your
was it-
words.
People really should legalize Triflix, man. They hold us
Yeah.
back.
This episode's restricted in 12 states.
It's
Is that really all that's left?
I don't know.
Oh, I was like, look
I don't
at you.
keep
How do
track.
you know this? Why do you know
I know we're
this?
surrounded by states that all have it
It's legal
legalized
with
in
a-
some way, so we're like a problem.
I don't know what you're talking about.
we're
I don't know
legalized with
either.
prescription
I'm
in
just
some
making stuff up.
Yeah.
Anyways, the news story headline
Yeah, what is
today
it?
is attractive maskers.
Oh, I'm guessing. I gotta guess.
What do you
I
got?
want to guess. Okay, so you know how like people are really attractive, but only whenever you cover up half their face with a mask, and then you take it off and you're like, wow, those teeth.
Whoa!
Look at that face.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, what's wrong?
I like your guess. Go ahead, David.
My guess, based on the headlines, attractive maskers, it seems the news story may be about people who wear masks that are considered attractive or stylish.
Did you type that into ChatGPT?
Yeah.
It's funny because I know when ChatGPT is getting used because it's pretty lifeless.
My
Like
delivery
it has no
was
personality.
on point. It didn't sound
Dude,
any different.
There's no spelling mistakes. That's how I can tell.
Yeah, when it comes from you.
Like
Your email to the guy we were just talking about, I'm not going to mention it.
Yeah.
The guy we were just talking about, that
Yeah.
was ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew it was.
Oh.
You got to stop that.
No, I can't be.
Can we at least
contained.
train it to be like you, but
Yes.
add
I
professionalism
really want
to it?
I want to give it a sample. I want to give it like a 32
Yeah, like this is how I
case
talk.
sample.
Make something that sounds like
Yeah,
me.
Yes.
Yeah.
but like correct for spelling errors and condense text.
We should pull a transcript from one of the Triflix episode or cast episodes
Oh,
Yeah.
and use that.
yeah. So it's a merge of all three of our conversation
Super
styles.
personality. Dude, I actually kind of like this. We should try this.
Yeah, it would fully capture the essence. Like, we're gonna eventually die.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way it works. But the essence of Triflix will live on
What's that movie?
through AI.
We talked about this once. There's a movie with Johnny Depp, I think, and they upload his personality.
Edward Scissorhands.
It's not called. It's not called
Yes.
Ascension. It's something Ascendance.
Look it up while I'm reading this.
Chat
Hold up, Jamie.
ChatGPT. What's that movie with the guy with the fingers?
with the fingers.
Okay.
Guy with the fingers.
My news story, you guys had really good guesses, but it's people who think they're attractive are less likely to wear a mask, study shows.
Okay.
I know, right?
It's not. It's transcendence, not ascendance. I was
there we go.
close.
That's a controversial
Go
topic.
watch it.
Nope.
Sorry, guys.
Why do you have to keep doing this to us? What are you doing?
Look at him on
You
his
are so
watch and
popular.
phone.
You're getting phone calls left and right.
I know, right?
Hey, that's your dad.
It's
Go bring him in.
we're gonna have to we have to call this person back afterwards. This
We're
is
taking
an
callers.
important phone
Just bring
call.
them into the. Bring them in. We're on the we're on the Triflix Cast. What's your name? What do you do?
Yeah, we're definitely not doing that. Okay. Anyways, researchers asked 1,030 participants to self-evaluate how attractive they deemed themselves and how likely they were to wear a mask. And I think that's pretty funny. It's attractive people are like, nah, I ain't wearing that.
Yeah.
It's pretty conceited.
So does that mean ugly people are more likely to wear masks?
There's still people wearing them out there. So
Did you guys see the movie
not
Glass
nice.
Onion from Knives Out?
heck yeah, dude. Madeline Klein's in that.
I don't know who that is.
I want to see who that is.
I already understand how you know.
What do you mean? How I know?
I don't know.
You just said you understand
I
how
did?
I know.
Tristan's on his phone again.
I want to see.
He's got to look up Madeline Klein.
I bring up that because whoever is the fashion popular person in that, I forget her name. It could be the actor.
The fashion popular person?
She's really dumb. She has like her own line of like perfume or something.
That was Kate Hudson.
Oh yeah, she had a mask on, but it was all perforated, and you can see right through it. You can still see her beautiful face.
So
it's like a hack.
Yeah, the funny thing, I don't remember that part.
The Klein girl, isn't that Scarlett Johansson's sister in the that Marvel movie?
Scarlett Johansson
like
was
the-
No. Those are two
Knives
different
Out.
people. But I know who you're talking about on the list as well.
Oh, okay. They had like similar face structures.
I know exactly who you're talking about from the movie Black Widow.
Yeah.
No.
Different people.
Scarlett Johansson. Yeah.
She was also in that the movie with Harry Styles.
They were both in it?
What
What is this movie?
Oh, that's Florence Pugh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The funny name.
Also,
Pew.
blonde chick. I like it. But no, she's
Star Wars.
Madeline Klein is that she the popular show that she is in that I just finished is the newest season for Outer Banks on Netflix.
You watch Outer Banks?
Heck yeah, man. I love that stuff.
My sister tried to get me to watch it, and it was
It's great, man. It's a bunch
How
of,
do you not
bunch
like...
of 20-something-year-olds as teenagers trying to find buried treasure.
Yeah, no, I don't understand. Like, you're like, anime, it's so weird and it's so quirky and like it doesn't make sense and like everything's so abstract, and then you watch a show that's as realistic as Outer Banks.
It's super realistic. Are you kidding me?
What?
These 16-some-year-old kids that have 5 o'clock shadows, they're just running around doing whatever they want. Their parents don't even care. It makes sense.
They're like beating each other with golf clubs because they're not from the same island and stuff.
Yeah, you know what it is.
I've seen episodes.
I don't want to know. That made me think of
It's
the
on Netflix.
Spider-Man movie.
Watch it.
The first one, Tobey Maguire, where they're
Spider-Man?
all like in their 20s, late 20s, and they're playing like high school students or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
yeah.
always threw me off.
Yeah, you're like, what?
It's like you're like supposed to be.
You're not in high
You
school.
just graduated high school.
You're like, you think just because you put a backpack on, you look like you're 16?
You said you went to band camp. You want me to believe that?
Yeah.
Heck no. No, Harry.
They all look like
You're
they
not
graduated
18.
college. Yeah.
Isn't that Franco?
Yes.
Dude, that's wild. to see
I
him
love it.
evolve since then. Good old Jamie Frank.
Sure. Don't watch Spring Breakers. He's bad in that movie.
Oh,
Speaking of bad movies,
What?
I saw Cocaine Bear.
Oh my gosh.
Did you see Cocaine Bear?
No, I'm not watching that crap.
I want to watch
It was crap.
There's a lot of smut that I think is funny and I would watch. That is one of those things I'm out on.
Really? Is smut a
Really?
bad word?
Is smut a bad word? Why'd you
Pretty
believe
sure.
me?
I think that's
Smut?
a bad word. Yeah.
That's not a
That
bad
man
word.
has so many
All of them.
bleeps.
Smut.
Let's ask
Show me your
ChatGPT.
smut.
Is smut a
No, usually isn't it like a magazine?
bad?
It's a small flake or a fungal disease.
Yes,
Here.
smut is considered a bad or vulgar word. It's
No, it says erotic writing that contains explicit sexual content. Something that renders you wanting to pour bleach into your eyes after reading, yet possesses an irresistible allure that makes you eventually give in and read it again.
because of its association
It's like People's
with
Magazine.
sexually explicit content. The word smut in polite company or professional settings generally considered inappropriate.
Well, that's neither one of these settings, so...
Oh, that's ChatGPT though. So
Yeah, ChatGPT, it doesn't have a
I'm
bleeping
bleeping it anyway. You didn't hear anything for the past
well,
minute.
you got plenty of smuts to bleep.
Fork, dude. I saw
anyways,
Cocaine Bear.
Cocaine Bear. How
and
was it?
It was. I saw it with Andrew, and we went into it.
How much cocaine did the bear do?
It was
A duffel.
giant, like
A key?
bags. Like the story is that
Pound.
cocaine was chucked out of like an airplane and got all landed into a forest. This actually did happen. Which
Happens
is
a
the
lot.
only semblance of truth in this movie. Because the real Cocaine Bear just died from an overdose immediately. It was filled
They
with
made a
cocaine.
movie out of it.
Yeah, they did. And it didn't do anything weird. It just died a happy death filled with cocaine.
I know.
And there's this giant like bags, like maybe like 8 inch, like a foot by like half a foot by like 6
brick.
inches. So it looks like a brick of cocaine.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a bust
like-
on a brick.
The usual amount.
And it like starts out with like 2 kids finding it. They're like 8 years old. Like, this is cocaine. And they have like southern accents. Like, have you ever done cocaine before? It's like, oh, I know, do cocaine. And they like stab it open with a knife and they eat it.
The heck? My
Yeah,
kids
it's
wouldn't
weird.
even know what it was.
They know.
They think it was baking powder.
They immediately saw just a brown paper bag brick and like, that's
cocaine.
cocaine. I was like, what? It's a movie where you just had to turn off your brain. Nothing made sense.
Yeah.
I can't believe you went to watch this. This seems below you.
I thought it'd be interesting to talk about.
You were looking around just like, all these people.
A bunch of
You had to
12-year-olds in
turn-
the audience.
The movie was just a vehicle to show you gory hack and slash. Like there was minimal effort. We put more effort. There's people who put more effort into the films at 48 Hour than what was put
not
into
us.
Cocaine Bear. Oh no, I mean like
I was
we're
like,
a
you
completely
corrected
different
yourself.
level. Like
We surpassed
to
that.
compare our movies to Cocaine Bear would be a disservice to them.
I
they're
gotcha.
ours is just so much better. Vitalian, I would argue, is better.
Story.
Did I tell you the other day that I think we needed to do a Kyle spinoff
Kyle.
just about Kyle and his life?
Sure.
I thought that'd be really funny. He's the doucher at work,
Oh yeah.
and
How
but
he
like,
climbed his way to the top.
but like
It's
he's
like
like,
The Office.
at home, he like gets beat down all the time, like verbal abuse, and he's just always like,
Yeah.
yeah. So he goes to work and does it. He's like the bully.
Oh, I like it. It's like a kid story, but for adults.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
let's do it when he's in high school, but he still looks like a
Yeah.
full grown
You still have a
adult
full
male.
beard.
Yeah. And a terrible haircut, which would track with a high schooler.
Yeah, so Kyle was the character that David played in our
Yeah.
first
I
48
was
hour
so good at him.
as a team. Our first 48 hour called Vitalian.
Yeah.
So he was not a nice boss at the place that my character was going to work. You were my boss for a very short period of time.
It's like the roles were flipped
yeah,
from real life.
and he was acting like me.
Yeah, he was my inspiration.
Anyways, Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. It felt like there was like 3 or 4 half stories all thrown together.
Ugh.
Like, they could have just ran with one. There was like a drug dealer story. There was like a park ranger story. None of these panned out and like paid off at all.
Who's involved in this? Like, what's the studio and everything?
I don't even know.
I'm interested.
Ray Liotta's in it.
Like, there's elements of something that could have been there, and it could have been actually enjoyable. The most aggravating part, guess what the reviews are on Rotten Tomatoes?
Good.
They're 74% from both the audience and the reviewers.
Oh
no!
It makes no sense.
It gets a 6 out of 10, a 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb.
That makes sense. I would give it like a 4 out of 10.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they got some. I mean, there's definitely like
Alden
known people.
Ickenwright or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Didn't he do like Marvel or
Carrie
something?
I'm just so
Russell.
surprised. Like, I don't like. It's enjoyable if you just want to see like a bear go wacky and attack a whole bunch
Elizabeth
of people.
Banks was the director.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know what she's directed before.
This might be. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. This might be like. I don't want to say that it's her first, but it could be.
Is she an actor?
Yeah,
Okay.
actress.
Actress?
Oh, okay.
In the profession of acting?
Well, actually, it says that she was the director of Movie 43, Pitch Perfect 2, and Charlie's Angels and Cocaine Bear. So she has done some directing in the past. Look at that. I've just only seen her in her movies. There's 94
Yeah.
credits for like films
Jeez.
over like the 7 for directing. So interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah. I feel like they could have cut the kid actors. They weren't the best. I think their dialogue just wasn't written well, and it was
Yeah.
just super unbelievable. Like, it could have been like an intense, like, oh my gosh. It's a
Cocaine Bear.
And you have no idea what's going to happen, and you're scared for the characters. But it was more like, it was trying to be a comedy, but sometimes it was trying to be serious. It just didn't hit with me.
That's funny. Did you guys know that on IMDb they have what they call goofs? And it's like mess ups in the movie that somebody found?
Oh, like bloopers, but they're still in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, it says the ambulance that arrives to the ranger station is a period correct Ford van, but then it crashes into the tree and it suddenly has the grill the front end of a Chevrolet GMC van. That's funny. Somebody was like, "Oh, that's not right."
I saw some continuity errors. Like,
That happens
the
with
bear was like sleeping, and then like it did a close up on its face, and its eyes opened. It was like, "Meh." And then it cut like to a wider shot, and the bear was still asleep, and his eyes were closed. And I'm like,
maybe it's faking.
I don't get it. Like, he's supposed to be awake right now. I feel like they just messed it up in the cut, because then like a minute later, then the bear woke up. I'm like,
Huh?
why did you show me his eyes waking up if that didn't matter right now?
Movie hard.
I got a text
Movies.
saying that my credit card's on hold. That seems fake.
Oh, you should put him on the podcast. I just want to have
Yeah,
a
let's
random.
call your bank.
Weird.
Let's get scammed live.
It was Chase.
We get scammed.
Triflix
Chase, do you
gets
have
scammed.
Chase?
What are you chasing after?
Like it actually, oh, that ain't real.
No way.
That ain't real.
Okay, put your phone down. Come on, man. We
Dude,
want you to be a
whenever
part
You're
of
not in the
this.
conversation.
It can wait till after the podcast, man.
Dude.
There's no money to take.
I mean, I feel like that one's actually worth looking at. But
Nah.
You don't even have a Chase card.
I do have a Chase card.
No,
what,
you
are you
don't.
what are you talking about?
You don't have a bank.
I don't
You
use
have
it
no
as
money.
a bank. It's
Where do we
there-
go?
not.
Yeah, no,
used
there
that
was
way.
something I wanted to talk about. This was something that I brought up earlier in the week, but I thought it would be interesting to talk about on the podcast because it's right up our alley.
Yeah.
YouTube is experimenting with a higher quality 1080p or full HD option,
Okay.
and they're saying that it's like a premium 1080p.
So you have to pay to
Oh,
get
I'm
it?
sure. I'm sure
Premium.
you gotta pay. Oh yeah. A small group of YouTube premium subscribers
Yeah.
are getting it. It's a higher bit rate over the
So,
normal 1080p.
Do we
which,
want to talk about how bit rates work and why that matters?
yes. Let me read a little bit of information from this
Yeah.
article though. So this is from The Verge, which I love The Verge.
They're pretty good. I like
They're
them.
awesome. Their podcast is great too if you want to keep up on tech. So what it says is, for example, a 1080p Blu-ray can give you a maximum of 40 megabytes per second, which provides a pretty crisp image. Meanwhile, YouTube's standard 1080p hovers around 8 to 10. Let's see. It doesn't say specific. Oh, here we go. The premium option ran at about 13 megabytes per second versus the 8 for standard.
Yeah.
That is not a big difference. I don't know. Tell me if you think that's even worth it.
It's not like an order of magnitude difference, really. It's not like double. But I mean,
even noticeable.
A little bit.
I'd rather they just stop compressing videos as much. Because like the shadows and stuff. Because it's like if there was like an extra 2 megabytes in the shadows as opposed to the whole image, then it's like I could kind of see that. But if it's just 2 megabytes per second for the whole video and they aren't changing anything else about the video, I don't think you're going to notice a difference.
I don't think that's how it works
With compression?
Not with streaming at the moment. Maybe with the new AV1 it could.
The whole video would have to be a separate video than what's currently listed. So like I would want a video that's less compressed with a higher bit rate.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And wouldn't I mean, I know that the data rates are large, they're very different with video versus audio, but it's like you can do kind of like, it's not lossless, but it's like more uncompressed than usual, that you can get like a higher bit rate audio like on Spotify or Tidal or whatever, and it's supposed to be like that really nice uncompressed, and it's like, why couldn't you give that option for video? You know, it's like if I have good home internet, right?
Well, nobody wants to pay for it, I don't think.
Shoot, I would.
Yeah, but most people are watching on their phones. They don't even notice, I would say.
Yeah, there's like even the difference when we're editing. If you have a video and it looks jank, like crunchy, like all the details just bad, it's not sharp, and then you like scale it down from your 32-inch monitor to the size of a cell phone, you're like, oh, this looks really good.
Yeah, no, I get it, but it's also like I could see this being a thing further in the future because as, you know, more people stop using traditional TV delivery methods, you know, and you're seeing streaming, like, you know, pulling up a video on your TV from YouTube is super easy. Yeah. And then on top of that, you know, if there was more content, like YouTube is still known for its long form content. So it's like, if I want to watch a 30-minute video, I probably want to sit on my couch.
I just don't think we're the majority of the...
No.
So you have advertisers which push everything in terms of like what the company decides to do. And it's like most of those advertising dollars are targeted towards the people that are like, I got to poop and I got 3 minutes. It's like the short form, like it's not about, I mean, there is like the view time for like streaming and stuff, but even those, I don't think the majority is watched on a TV or a monitor. Most of, I think YouTube, the internet's like 75% retention through mobile devices, and I assume YouTube's not too far off from that.
I don't know. It'd be nice if somebody, like, again, there's got to be a demographic to some degree, because I mean, there's still people out there that are buying
streaming services specifically would be it.
Yeah,
like I noticed with HBO Max, movies on there look so much better than like if I'm watching a movie on like Hulu or even YouTube.
Yeah,
I think it's because like the bit rate is higher, and like especially if it's an animated movie, you can like easily see when like stuff gets crushed and like the quality is not there between like the hard lines because there's outlines and everything, and I don't see that on HBO Max.
Interesting.
So I think in those streaming services specifically, like on movies or TV shows where you pay for them, I think that's where everything is being focused on, and not on free stuff like your YouTube channel and stuff.
You know, I thought that maybe Apple TV was supposed to be up there as well.
Oh, I don't have Apple TV, so I haven't seen it. But
I need to compare
that
the
makes
two.
Sense. Yeah,
that would make sense. Yeah, because there were just sometimes I've been playing around. So like we're watching my parents' house this week, so I've been messing with the settings on my dad's TV because he has that 8K Samsung. So I've been like trying to watch some different things and see what stuff looks like.
Yeah.
And it was interesting kind of trying to see like what was good and what wasn't. And some of the stuff I thought was going to be good that wasn't that great. Because you know it's doing like upsampling or upscaling or whatever.
Yeah, because nothing's in 8K right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've been told too, I think that was one of the first gens as well. And I've been told that their new 8K scaling is much better than it was before.
Is it like trying to do smart stuff? Like it's not just like blowing it up, it's doing some weird magic to it.
Supposedly, yes. Right. It's got like a processor that's dedicated to upscaling.
All that stuff.
Yeah, well, you know how it goes. There's only so many
You can
settings
only-
you can mess with. And
Yeah.
I played with it for a while because he had everything on dynamic or auto or whatever. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to change all your settings, sir.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be something Tristan might be running into.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I did find, so it has a setting for the backlight
Mm-hmm.
and then it has a setting for brightness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And backlight's 1 to 50. And then brightness is like 1 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I found like I turned up the brightness like a lot because you know I love bright screens.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like was blowing out the highlights on my images.
Yeah.
And so I had to like go through and kind of fine tune it a little bit. But it was just
Yeah.
interesting
Is
to
it
kind of.
HDR? The TV?
Yes.
Okay.
Should be.
Oh, yeah.
For that
It
price.
better be. Also high frame rate. It's probably 240.
Whoa.
What's the HDR for? Like, do you know
Yeah,
what
the
that
rating.
entails on when it comes to televisions and stuff?
What do you mean?
So like if you got an HDR TV, what does it even mean?
Are you just asking like?
Are you asking what HDR is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, like what is
you're-
the value of that?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
HDR stands for high dynamic range. It can mean different things in different markets. HDR is a buzz term for TVs,
Yeah.
and it just helps to bring more data into the highlights and the shadows, and it can also make for a brighter image in certain parts.
Yeah.
So
It's like having more ticks on a ruler. You can have more information, but it also means it's more information to be stored. And so specific movies need to be made in an HDR format so your TV can actually provide the correct brightness. Because maybe your ruler just goes from like 1 to 12 inches, but HDR might go from like 1 to 18 inches and have more individual ticks. So it can be even finer detail, and there's even more brightness that it can keep track of.
that's an awesome way to explain it. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. And you can tell too, so if you have an HDR device, whether that's your phone or your tablet, your laptop, your TV, go on YouTube and watch normal content and then pull up an HDR video. And
Yeah.
the brightness difference is huge. As
Oh,
soon
yeah.
as you have HDR content on the TV, you can see it.
Yep.
I mean, and again, all of my screens are HDR. I mean, yeah. And you can see the difference every single time. Now it depends on your HDR rating. We've talked about this. So
Yeah.
if it's like HDR 10 and above, then you can tell.
Yeah.
But if it's something stupid, like the low end, like HDR
400.
4,
Yeah.
it's like,
they can only get so bright.
yes.
Because the really good ones, they can be as bright as the sun. And it'll hurt too much if like you're in a dark room and it's all the way cranked to
And the brightness
a
is
bright
measured
image.
how, David?
nits.
Yeah.
But I think, is
There's-
it Apple? They just made up that term, or is that the real term?
There's
No, that's
a one,
legit.
It's
Okay.
a 1-to-1. There's nits, and then there's cm/d2 d squared,
Whoa.
and it's 1-to-1. So 400
Okay.
cm d squared is the same as 400 nits.
But they call them nits.
But Apple always
know why
uses
they call it
nits in
nits.
their marketing.
Nitwit.
Which I mean, yeah. So the reason I also said that, so like HDR 10 is usually
Also,
1,000 nits.
I think it's 1-to-1
Okay.
with lumens too. I'm pretty sure
okay.
nits and lumens are 1-to-1.
Okay.
I have to look
Um,
that one up though.
The
Yeah.
light bulbs are rated in lumens, right?
Yes.
You know how bright your light bulb is.
Yeah.
Like 800 lumens is like a normal thing.
You go on
for
and look
normal-
at flashlights on Amazon.
Yeah.
Lumens everywhere. Everybody's like, oh, 8,000
Yeah.
lumens. That'll blind you.
Because when your TV's at like 100% brightness and it's only 400 lumens, you can look at it and your
Oh.
eyes don't hurt.
Okay,
But-
so it's 3.4 big decimal to 1 nit, so it's not 1-to-1, but it's an equivalent. So like for
Yeah.
the example, how bright the thing is, how luminant it is.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I mean,
Mhm.
it makes a huge difference. The reason I said I didn't know this until recently, but the peak brightness on the iPhone 14 Pro
Yeah.
is 2,000 nits.
Ah, yes. Because it like, it's
That's high, by the way.
At
That's
2 a.m.
huge.
That's
Yeah.
a huge number.
Your
So, like,
monitor at your office that you work on is probably 2 to 400
yeah.
Yeah.
capped, unless you have an HDR monitor, which
Yeah.
probably in.
And most of the time, it's never going to be at 2,000 nits.
And that's why I say so.
Like an individual pixel can
It's a-
reach that briefly.
So Tristan just mentioned it. Peak brightness. This all depends on battery, whether you're on wall power or not. Depends on heat.
Yeah.
It depends on like processing. There are a lot of factors here because like sustained brightness is how long is a brightness that it can keep at a sustained level. Peak, it just like comes in when it needs to, and if
Yeah.
it can, it stays. If not, it's gone. So it's like if you're out in direct sunlight and you have an iPhone 14 Pro, it can hit 2000 for a short period of time. It's all heat based and battery based, and that's all software regulated. But still, it's nuts.
Yeah. So the difference the HDR brings, it looks more real, like almost like you're looking at a window. If that makes
Can be.
sense.
Yeah, I think HDR definitely is on the line of like that uncanny valley, though.
Yeah.
Because you look at an image and sometimes it looks fake because everything is
Exposed.
everything
focus.
is exposed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just
Okay.
like. And now a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Coffee House 5. With locations in Franklin and Greenwood and soon a third in Bargersville, Coffee House 5 is Johnson County's premier independent coffee shop to relax, study, or meet friends around great coffee and great food Monday through Saturday. Whether it's a handcrafted espresso or a single origin pour-over, you'll enjoy the freshest, smoothest coffee possible roasted in-house at their Franklin location using a unique airbed roasting process. And don't forget to pair your coffee with a ham and cheddar scone, biscuits and gravy made with their award-winning Parmesan chive biscuit, or any of their other pastries and sandwiches prepared in their Franklin kitchen using family recipes in a style they call Midwest comfort food. As if that's not enough to get your attention, Coffee House 5 is a for-benefit coffee house. All profits are invested in building a stronger community through their support of local mental health services, which you can read more about on their website, coffeehouse5.com. So next time you're in Franklin or Greenwood and soon Bargersville, stop by Coffee House 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just
Okay.
like,
And we
there's
see
no
that.
shadows and there's all this detail and I can see outside and inside. And it's like, which
Yeah.
I think, again, I think HDR is one of those things like we can see in HDR essentially, right? It's like we have, I forget how many it was because I think Corridor figured it out, like how many stops of dynamic range.
22 to 23. And then
Which is a lot.
it depends on the person, but that's like the average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like we can see all of these things in reality, and it's like now cameras are starting to catch up.
Yeah.
And so we're starting to see that. But sometimes on like a good TV, like high resolution HDR stuff, you're kind of like, wow, it looks fantastic, but man, there's just like that uncanny feeling to it all.
Well, that's why like old school animation looks bad. One of the many things, because there's a lot of different. But one of the things that was hard to overcome is like how many of those stops you could make the image at. And so if it's really, really low, everything looks kind of simple. Like think Toy Story 1, where everything just clearly just a strange computer scary graphic. And then compare it to Toy Story 4. Is that the latest one?
I think so.
Yeah.
And then everything looks almost realistic. And that's all other different technologies being combined into one, but that's using a higher amounts of data for figuring out light and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Why
crazy.
with our real estate photos, whenever you look at them, you're taking a bunch of images that are, some are exposed for darker and some are exposed for brighter, and you're putting them all together and you're faking an HDR picture because if someone looks at it on a standard screen, you see a wide dynamic range, even though the monitor like could never actually expose for that. It's like you're bringing in all these levels. It's like taking the contrast and like reducing the contrast.
Yeah.
So it's more of a flat image. So it's faking HDR, but technically it is an HDR too.
Yeah.
And it depends on the monitor.
And that's why I said HDR is kind of a buzzword for TVs in specific, because what we're doing like with our bracketing and everything, like that's true to life HDR, right?
Yeah.
We are stacking images and pulling out data so that you have a ton of high dynamic range. And it's like, that's become this buzzword for TVs, and it's like HDR 10 plus.
Yeah.
And VRR and HDMI 2.1. Come on, everybody.
It's just also confusing. It's impossible to track.
So Tristan has been looking for a monitor recently.
Yeah,
and
that's what I brought up. I tried to.
So a lot of this stuff has come into play, and I have found looking into any sort of screen, whether it's a TV or a monitor, it is the most buzzwordy, like technology laden, just like terms and things like it's
Yeah.
That's why it's
Every
like you were
brand has
explaining it
their
to me.
own
Well,
verbiage for everything.
They interchange it. So HDR typically is about luminance and how bright things are, but some companies are using it interchangeably with like saturation and vivid, like how vivid an image is. You go to Samsung's.
Boost the colors.
Yeah, it's like how many RGBY. It's like, oh, this TV has yellow in it and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, it's dynamic range because
I remember that was a thing.
So like, there's so many buzzwords where they're trying to articulate it, but
I love it.
Basically,
It's too much.
if you want the best bang for your buck, go buy an Encosin. It's some knockoff Chinese brand, but their monitors has like full HDR10. So you got HDR in terms of the luminance. It's like up to 700 nits, which is for most people that you're getting double, triple what you're used to for a 32-inch monitor for like $800.
This episode needs to come with a glossary.
Yeah,
You know, it's
Yeah,
like
here's
it's
all
so
the
many
things.
HDR,
Yeah.
you know, variable refresh rate,
Oh my
HDMI,
goodness.
But-
you know,
Yeah.
you're just like,
yeah, there's so many words, and I've dove so much into it because we are starting to like always trying to improve, and one of the things that we've worked on a lot was more the editing and some of the more simpler VFX and transitions, and I feel like we've nailed a lot of that. So the next thing in pipeline is how do we get better at color grading? So I need a better monitor. We're also switching over to a laptop for mobility, so it's like I have to have a monitor. So I've had to dive into this research of what makes it good, and there's
have
so
to.
many settings. Well, I mean, what's the point of spending money on something that
Just
makes
buy
our
the
product
TCL
worse?
down at Best Buy. It's
Yeah.
$270.
You could. So why
Yeah.
why would you? And it's like
Well, I
it
meant more-
affects the full product.
I know, but I meant more along the lines of like the screen on your laptop is
Good enough.
amazing.
Yeah,
you
but it's
just don't like the
16 inches.
size.
Well, yeah. How the heck can you get any
Yeah.
work done with
You
that?
can. I'm telling you, you're gonna
Many
be.
people do.
Yeah.
Tristan,
They also have good prescriptions in their glasses, so they actually see
I've
what's on
been
the screen.
doing this pre-existing all this, and it's the most productivity I had was whenever I added a second monitor. It's like it just doubled how much I was able to get done because I don't have to tab back in between windows or 3-finger swipe if you're
No.
special.
To be fair, you are going from a 27-inch monitor, that's what's on the iMac, to
Yeah.
a 16-inch. So it does feel like being boxed in.
Dude, I've been using a 17-inch monitor for like 7
17
years. Yeah, the 17-inch monitor out there on my
17?
desktop. It's a laptop. It's on my desk. It's the Forcia one.
yeah.
Oh, I thought you were...
I've used a 17-inch for a long time, and I absolutely hate the form factor. It's really heavy too, but
Okay.
like the resolution is 1080.
Yeah, I was gonna
there's
say,
things
there's-
that come with
Yeah.
it, but the actual size of it, of the screen, I can get work done, but it's not very ergonomic for long periods of time, and there's a lot of downsides to it. But
This is all subjective.
Yes.
Just a heads up.
yeah,
I
He's
have
a very particular man.
I have edited pictures and video with Adobe products, Final Cut, all those things on my 16-inch MacBook Pro.
yeah.
And I absolutely love it. Like, don't get me wrong. I appreciate coming in the office and adding that real estate on my 32-inch.
Oh, yeah.
But like at the end of the day, there's just something about that screen on that laptop that is just unparalleled. I mean, it's a mini LED, like high resolution, super dark contrast. Like it's just a beautiful monitor, and its peak brightness is 1600 nits. Like
That's nice.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, mini LED, man. Just another word.
Yeah, that's another... Add it to the glossary.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make micro LED screens now.
Yeah, it's just a way to compete with OLED. Add another word.
OLED.
Those are the QD LED.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a bunch
of... goodness.
Yeah,
Who's
no.
going to do all this work?
No, I
You.
just
No.
so the problem actually, why can't you use the laptop screen?
What do you mean?
That's your question.
Yeah, that's the question to you.
Yeah, why? Because they're not color accurate. They
Yeah,
don't
they
come.
are.
They do not test them. So if you actually have a calibrated monitor and set it next to an iMac,
Color-
you can see the difference.
Color accuracy and color calibration are two different things. It's not that the screen maybe doesn't have the ability to cover that
Yeah.
color space.
You would have
but it's
to-
not calibrated.
Correct.
Which is, and there's always variations in displays as well.
Yeah, you can't take the calibration of one screen and apply it to another. It's
So
like
it's not
small.
it's not calibrated for one, and then two.
Okay.
Did you
Doesn't
look it
mean
up?
it's bad.
No, but does it cover the full spectrum of colors that you want it to? So it's like
Does it?
your eye can see a lot of colors. The monitor doesn't always display that. And this is also partly what the difference is between 8-bit and 10-bit, which has nothing to do with has nothing to do with the bit rate from YouTube from earlier. So no, they I think it's like DCI-P 99% or something like that. It covers a lot of colors. For most people, it's fine. The thing is, if I'm spending money, I want to get the most accurate for the lowest cost that maybe doesn't come factory calibrated, but can be factory calibrated within like a variance of accuracy. And
so 2021 and beyond M1 MacBook Pros.
2021 and beyond. Okay.
Yeah, so we're talking the
M1
The
and
one
2.
that you just bought,
the newest generation,
Yeah.
right? So
Do they come factory calibrated?
what would a good color space like coverage? Like, what are you looking for in a monitor?
100% of DCI-P3, which I think they do, but I want at least 100% of DCI-P3.
Okay, so it's 99%
Oh, that's pretty close.
of DCI-P3.
Except when you think about it, DCI-P is 1.07 billion colors. So how many colors are you missing if you're missing 1%? How many numbers of colors?
Does the monitor you ordered, is it?
No, it's 95%. But it's also but it's
So
also
it's worse than the
it is.
MacBook screen.
It is, but it's also half the price and twice the size of the iMac or the Studio Display replica.
Well, and yeah, that's just like reused technology.
Yeah.
That's no bueno.
So again, if you just
So again, it's not a bad screen. You just
No.
don't like the size of it.
I don't understand how you're supposed to be able to get work done with it though. If you're doing like video
Thousands
editing,
of people, millions do
I'm
it.
sure they do.
It says this also means perfect sRGB coverage.
For me, it doesn't work. I couldn't do it.
You don't know yet. You don't even have it in
never
hand.
tried
right?
it.
Not the color aspect of it, but specifically the form factor. Like I've tried using Monday and following a project along and then editing at the same time and constantly having to switch between screens to reference notes. It's just a real pain in the
Where the display is where this display is extremely impressive is in its color calibration, and this has helped significantly by macOS doing much better job other than over Windows is what it's saying. And the cool thing is too is you can actually change your color space.
Yes. It's really easy too.
I've messed with that. Yeah, that's really cool.
Windows is so bad with that.
Yeah.
You can tell it to do it like per program, and then sometimes it doesn't do it, and then it'll do it for the whole screen or half the screen. I saw Taryn Van Herrit.
I've been watching a lot of his
He
videos
did a
lately.
video on it, and it was a nightmare watching him talk about it. It was like,
Yeah.
I hate Windows so much.
There's also just the color spaces in general are all disagreed upon because like most of them cover the same amount of colors, but some of them cover more reds or more blues, like Adobe versus sRGB versus DCI-P3 versus I think Apple has one just called P3 that's completely different than DCI-P3. Like there's just so many, and nobody will agree on what colors you should include. And then it's like you edit in one space, and then you try to put it on somebody's monitor, and their monitor doesn't even show half the colors that you edited with.
Yeah.
And that's partly where you said if you have an HDR phone, and then like somebody edited it to have more luminance, which isn't necessarily the same thing, but like somebody created an art piece and then you're watching it on a display that doesn't even showcase it, or your phone is capable of it and you're watching footage that wasn't edited to be more dynamic. So
yeah, or you have an HDR compatible TV that has 4 dimming zones.
just all the settings or all the
what it feels like.
Samsung saturation mode on your phone. How many people are watching YouTube with that on right now?
Dude, so many people. So many people.
Maybe it's like white balance. Your eyes just adjust over time to
Go into your-
how bad it looks.
I've done a Tuesday tip on this. Go back and check it out. Go into your Samsung Android phone settings, go to the display, and change your display profile from vivid to natural, and you will thank me later. You will not live in this Willy Wonka oversaturated BS land.
People love it. People like it, man.
Yeah. That's why when you go to the store,
Especially
all
if
the
they
TVs are
used it
cranked.
for like a year and then switch it, everything just looks wrong.
But dude, it's like I really liked it at first, but it's gotten worse. And that was Tristan just brought it up. We went to Best Buy to just like look at TVs, and it was
so much HDR, man.
Dude, it's just like everybody went in and they just took their saturation level, that just cranked it as high as they could, like to the point it wanted to, like my eyes wanted to bleed.
Yeah, you can't trust any of the images you see there.
Oh, it's so
Because
bad.
yeah.
Do you imagine if we took a video and crank sat and then watched it on a Samsung phone?
Just burn your eyes out. Silly.
Put it on your Galaxy Flip. Or what is it? No, your Fold.
Dude, the agent that I shot for today, she had a Galaxy Flip.
Yeah?
Or like a Fold. Yeah, Fold
Yeah.
like what I used to have. And she was older. And I was like,
Sure, a flip
dang.
phone.
I was like, you got yourself a freaking Fold? I was like, good for you. That's tight.
cool.
I need to send you this article, though, on the display on the MacBook. I'm just saying, it's a really good article.
I know it's a great screen, man.
It's a great
I'll read
screen.
the article. I'm sure it is. But
I'm not trying to poo all over your external monitor. I'm just saying, you've spent a lot of money on a beautiful display.
Yeah.
And I think that when you are going to sit down sometimes and just edit, and you have the ability to like sit on your couch, you know what I mean? And like enjoy that time. You're
Yeah.
going to be like, wow, this is a really nice display, even though it's only 16 inches.
I think when it gets real prescriptions, you might actually want to use it.
I don't think you realize it's only been like 3 months since my
I feel
glasses
like you
have been.
haven't realized how long
It's pretty
been.
bad. It's pretty bad. I mean,
I
you've
feel like that's
mentioned
not a
couple
sudden
things.
thing.
It's like 3 months, man.
I don't think your eyesight can change.
My
like that in
contacts
3
still
months.
work. My contacts are still in prescription. I just can't put them in. My eyes burn when I put them in because the water at our house is disgusting.
Why are you using the tap water to put your...
Yeah, aren't you supposed to put them in
supposed to
solution?
use
You put them in
saline.
solution, but you should wash your hands before you put in things in your eyes. Otherwise, you'll get
Gangrene.
No, you can actually get.
I don't know.
You can
I'm
actually
making
get
stuff up.
herpes in your eyes doing that. Like if you have any bacteria in your
Not
hand, and
eyes
it gets in your
herpes.
eye, yeah, it's pretty nasty stuff. You can't say herpes.
Is herpes a bad word?
I don't want to get flagged, man.
We're not going to get flagged.
You can get viral infections in your eye that are reoccurring.
There we go.
Yeah.
And it'll be reoccurring,
Yeah.
and they
PG.
won't. They'll live with you for a lifetime.
Keep
So
it PG.
you should
I don't
always.
wanna- I don't want to have some kid have to have a parent explain what herpes is.
They shouldn't be putting their fingers in their eyes unless they wash them.
Yeah, right.
Why aren't you just rinsing your hands with the saline solution so you don't have that issue?
I don't think you understand how bacteria works. You can't just wash your fingers with
You
water
wash
or
your
saline.
hand, and then you rinse it off with the saline so you don't put the water.
Oh, yeah, you could.
That's how basic
Yeah.
rinsing is.
You could do that. I don't know.
You just
I'm
don't
I'm
want
telling
to
you, we
do
still
it.
need to rally around you and help you fix your plumbing. We
That'd
just
be
need to
great.
make it happen.
Yeah.
I think the
I'm ready for you
rust-
to take more often showers.
Hell yeah, man.
I don't know.
We
Increase the
shower
chance of
tomorrow.
getting
We
brain
have client
worms.
stuff.
Of course.
David, how far are we in right now? Just out of curiosity.
You are 45 minutes into this podcast.
Okay, so what do you guys want to talk about next? I'm sure neither one of you have looked at the outline,
nope.
but there are like
no.
4 other things we can talk about.
Is the corridor one on there?
It is on there.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Because I've been hearing differing opinions from people on the outcome of it.
Oh, so what they said was the case, was the truth. So Corridor Digital is a company that we follow online. They're a small company out of California. No, they remind us a lot of ourselves, and Tristan originally found them and has shared them to us, and we've watched their stuff.
Christopher Columbus of social media people.
Yes, and we appreciate you running aground on the Corridor crew. But no, so we're just gonna keep using that reference because we know how much you love it.
I didn't even...
What'd you call me?
Whoa.
I love if you're not watching the cast at all, like we're on YouTube, okay, and
54%
Facebook.
of our audience watches on YouTube.
I love you for
They
that
don't
joke.
even like us.
Anyways,
Why do we even help out?
Why do we even do what we do?
I don't know.
But anyway, so Corridor, they are primarily a VFX company, but they do a lot of video content. They have YouTube channel. They put out their own content on their website. We watch a lot of their stuff. They have been kind of blazing the trail recently with AI stuff.
Yeah.
And so we watched, did you watch
I did,
yeah.
Did you watch
I
the
watched
making of? Okay.
Yep.
So we've all watched the making of this video and the final video. Tristan and I also listened to their podcast. Did you listen to the podcast?
No, I don't listen to their podcast.
That gave some additional information.
The background.
Yeah, which was awesome because we learned some other things that we're super pumped about.
Yeah.
Probably concreted some decisions we were getting ready to make as well.
Those are time-based decisions, so
Correct.
we'll see.
Correct, but we were still wavering.
Yeah, we've
And I think now I'm even more on board. I'm like, yeah, you got plenty of time.
fixed that water.
Yeah, but anyways, so it's we want to talk about this. They made an anime video
Without animating anything.
Yes. You know,
How do you do that?
Right? They did it with AI. A lot of tools.
Yeah.
It was a mixture of a lot of tools. Did you hear? I'm sure you did on the podcast, right? That they have the click by click
Yes. So
walkthrough tutorial on their website.
they, like you said, they're pioneers. They blaze the way
Move
in
your
the
microphone
AI.
down.
Move it down.
Yeah, like make it so you're speaking into it.
Yeah, I mean, we know you got a long neck and all, but dang.
That's what happens when I sit up straight. So they're pioneers in this AI space, and they basically came up with a brand new process that nobody else has really connected the dots to. I think everybody's it's an open source community for the most part between all the software, and they found a way to connect a bunch of everyone's effort into a pipeline or a process that produces a really impressive result. Currently, in 2 weeks it'll probably be outdated and something's way cooler, but who knows. And essentially what they did was they took a green screen and put people in front of it, something we could do here at our studio. We have the same essential setup, like you could produce it, and they started shooting it with cinema cameras, and then slowly over time they realized you can get the exact same high quality result using their process they developed with a cell phone. Like, it doesn't have to be on a cinema camera. So it's like,
Yeah, they said it was an iPhone 12.
yeah, so not even the
that's what they used
coolest
for
Yeah.
the shoot. Wow.
for a lot of the shots.
Well, it sounded like Sam said just some of his shots as the king.
That was the
Towards the
selfie
end.
shot. He shot that by himself. There was no one running the camera for that. He shot it
Yeah,
himself. So
But using the front camera.
Okay.
they started doing pickup shots, and as they built the process out, they started off with a cinema camera and slowly realized that to work quicker they could just shoot a phone, because the effects, the lower quality image aided to the AI model process of like converting real people into animation.
Yeah, I mean, essentially everything they were
helped.
filming is reference footage.
Yes.
It's the AI is using this as a base to then color over.
Okay. Yeah. So they
Yeah, just helping out with context. Sorry.
I mean, anything that I skip over, go for it. So they're building out this whole process, and it's many steps, many pieces of software, and over the course of 2 months, their team of like, I think they maybe had like 6 people working on this project out of their company, were able to develop something that really, really closely resembles animation style, to the point that people in the comment section, some people, you know, they thought it genuinely was. They thought, even with a video that they did as a kind of like a placeholder, like a test pilot for this current process, a lot of people thought that one was animation, and that one was not nearly as close to being as pristine as this one was.
So good.
They build a process, they do all this work, and the point of contention is the model that they use to convert their actual real life footage of their faces to animation. It is pulled from real artist work, and they specifically went out of their way to find a late 90s, early 2000 movie. It has a very dark, edgy style to it in terms of like the graphics. It's like real hard brush strokes and solid fill for like a lot of the graphics, and then there's like 2-point lighting, so you'll have like a harsh shadow and then a well lit part of the subject. So it's very simple. I don't really know any current artists that are producing this type of stuff.
It's how most anime is drawn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, something more mainstream that people are familiar with. It's not like Dragon Ball Z or anything like that. Something like that, you know, it's like I've heard of it, but
Seems a little bit. It seems similar, but maybe just a touch more modern.
yeah,
In my opinion.
yeah. So it's
For somebody who does not watch anime.
exactly, which I feel like is probably most people in some capacity that are unfamiliar with what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So the question is, since they went out of their way without permission from the original artists of this movie that is available online for free, and they took screen captures of it and trained a model as prompts and like, hey, this is the style we like. Can you turn us into this? Some people just think, hey man, it's cool art. It's always cool to reference another artist. People do it all the time. What's the difference between seeing someone's art and then like copying it, the style with your own pencil versus what they're doing here? And a lot of people, it's like 50-50 from the comments that I was reading. I don't know. Is there more contention or anything?
Some of the issues that delve deeper into that is that you can get these models to actually produce the source images that they were trained on. And so it's more of an issue like, is it just outputting, like, you know, is it just like copy pasting? Mm-hmm. Or what is it actually doing? Because if you can get the model to just give you exactly what you gave it, then it's not really generating anything. And there is like, can you actually use this information, or are you just stealing art then? So it's a weird in between.
Yeah.
There's some issues with that that need to be cleared up. And I agree that it is like kind of a strange point of contention. I don't think there's a simple answer, but I think the process and all of the technology behind it is awesome, because instead of referencing a pre-existing movie, you can just pay artists to make a whole bunch of stills and things.
I need 30 stills so I can make my movie.
Yeah.
Basically a storyboard.
Yeah. Right.
But think 30 stills versus 1,000 frames of animations for like
12 frames per second.
Shot.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept, and this isn't going to go away. So, no. I mean, like, you can't stop this. And
it's not like a filter. It's not like you shoot on your iPhone and then you go to Snapchat and then you throw on, you know, a certain, I don't know, color profile or like the dog filter face, and it just tracks sepia. On animation. Because there is like, sepia. There is like an anime, I think it was in Snapchat. I'm sure other ones had it, but like you can turn yourself into anime. It
was so cool.
This looks way better than that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like I was like, wow, that's Dean and Nico. Like, you just like knew that's who they were.
Yeah.
Well, the weird thing about this is it takes the whole process of making a film or an anime in this style. It turns the whole thing into every shot is a VFX shot, which is not always the case in animation. Sometimes every frame is drawn and you don't have any VFX. Usually there's like a hybrid nowadays where like, if I just watched the TV show Invincible, it was insane, but you could see there was parts of it where they use 3D and then they use parts that are drawn and they're combining layers. So the fact that everything was a VFX shot and there wasn't really any drawing at all, aside from if you commission an artist to draw your initial training model frames, it's just it's a really cool idea.
You would think, I'm pretty sure like 3D animation also had a similar pushback, because you can tell like, okay, just like go from this pose to this pose and it would do it good enough. But we still have like 2D artists drawing, and like what Star Wars had their like anthology of animes commissioned a while back. I forget what it was called, but like it was 8 episodes and they all commissioned like different animation studios. I think one was Korean, and a lot of them were like very well-known anime studios. But like that's still thriving, and like the art style is like pushed to the limit where like you could tell like there was brush strokes and like all these lines were hand drawn. And so I don't think this is going to kill hand-drawn animation, because I think there's still a respect for it. But for those studios, they're like, okay, we need to make a couple shots that we forgot to, you know, have drawn. Pick up things like that, and it's good enough and you wouldn't even know. I think that's perfect. Or like, you know, not even using reference footage, just making your own.
Well, that's what I liked about what Nico said. You know, he was talking about the accessibility of it.
Yeah. That anybody. It's all open source.
Yeah, that you've watched, like, you know, he was talking about like photography eventually was something that everybody can get a hold of, and that was the evolution of the cell phone or the smartphone. And the same thing with videos. Like now the cameras are getting smaller and higher quality.
Phone, like anyone could shoot these.
You would pay someone to go develop your pictures, and they would not develop it the same way as another one. And there's this hard work and talent to developing pictures, and now your phone does it with magic AI.
Yeah, exactly.
there's sort of not a difference. The only difference I think would be, again, is like whether or not you're actually stealing art, which I don't think you are when you're taking a photo. And we're just in
you're
a
creating.
weird,
But some people argue that when you take a photo of them, you're stealing their likeness. So like there's always going to be some pushback to technology in some regard.
New stuff always scares people.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be abused.
But
it will be, just like anything.
Just like it all.
for memes.
For the memes.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I want to see like...
I loved the thought of like being able to, I don't know, animate the Tuesday tip video.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Cool.
Like just for fun, because you can. Like that's, again, like bringing a technology to studios like ours that are smaller and don't have as big a budget, but being able to make something along these lines, I mean, that just adds to the creative IP that goes out to the world in general.
Yeah. And I think that was one of the coolest parts about it is like you're talking about, it's like it would just be cool to do this. And it's like, why? Because it's cool.
Yeah.
It's
So
awesome.
This project almost didn't happen because they were talking about Nico and was it Matt? No, it wasn't Matt. It was Dean. So they've been going back and forth where everybody in the company is like invested in some sort of tech development, where one of the like Nico's really into the whole AI art generation and face model and stuff like this, and Dean is really, really big into Marvel. Like he has this big anime background, and he's really like invested in story and archetypes, and Sam's really big into Unity, which is like 3D modeling and stuff. And so they have like, they're all video editors, they're all VFX artists, but then they have like these little sections that they specialize in out of their own interest.
Yeah.
And Nico has been testing out this whole AI thing for such a long time, and he eventually hit a wall and he just got burnt out. And he's like, I don't feel like I can do this. I'm done. And then Dean comes along and he's like, hey, can you show me what little bits you've tried so far? And then he's like, I really have this idea. I want to try doing it. And then he plays around with it more. So this is like all outside of work. He's just so interested in this and learning from somebody else at the company that he ends up putting together like a proof of concept with the I think it was with the Spider-Man one, and then it was like, okay, cool, we're even closer. And then they started collaborating more together to help produce this most recent one. So it was iterative. It required, a little bit of passion outside where, they could have just gave up. They're like, oh, there's no tutorial out, like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Chat GPT, what do I do? And it's like, I don't know. And it's like, all right, well, I guess I give up.
Yeah.
But like you pioneer something. It's so cool.
No, I love it. I'm like, that's the stuff I would, I'm like, man, I want to put a bunch of technologies together and like pioneer, it's like, I kind of felt that way about our inventory system.
Yeah.
It's like we took a bunch of tools that we knew we had and then we made it work.
Yeah. Bashed them all together.
Yeah. It felt really good, Yeah. It's like we came up with that. We had a problem and we found a solution.
Dude, the artist world, especially when it comes like to video animation, it gets crazy. Because there's this 3D animation software called Blender.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a artist I follow. His name is Worthy Kids. And he does awesome like 3D animation merged with like 2D. Because he does a lot of the base stuff and then he draws over it to make it look hand-drawn.
Oh, okay.
And the issue came up is he made like a music video. It's like a funny little song of like a skeleton dancing and like playing the guitar. But it looks, keyword, it looks like stop motion. And oh my gosh, people in the comments were arguing with each other like, it's not stop motion. He didn't physically like move into figures. It's not stop motion. And it's just like, it's stop motion. It's totally stop motion because it looks like it feels like it, and it smells like a fish, wiggles like a fish, like it's a fish. It's like the only difference is like they didn't make the physical figures and like take pictures for every single movement. He was just doing the keyframes and like being like whereas like it's the same thing but you're doing it digitally.
Yeah, you're not physically doing it.
Upset about the smallest things.
Oh yeah, the
it's
semantics.
whole arguments. It's just like, come on, man.
It's like going on set and people are like take it too seriously when you say like,
it's like a Ratatouille situation.
Cut the film, like it's not film. It's like, I don't care what it's called. Like I've never shot with film. Yeah, like there's so many
make videos on YouTube.
legacy
Those aren't
frames.
really films. Joel Haver made a whole video about that. Did you see that?
No.
Tape it.
Tape it. Yeah, we're taping.
Cut the tape.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're rolling.
There's a lot of legacy terms that carry over, and then there's a lot that people carry over even though the industry doesn't accept them. And it's like, I understand words have meaning and you got to use them appropriately for what the medium is, but it's like at the same time, if it is what it is what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, artists are
it's
finicky people.
This is the usual stuff. I remember I was watching something about like behind the scenes of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of big what not improvements, but I don't know, there were a lot
innovations
of like but there was a lot of like first gen stuff that they were just starting to do a lot of like CG work. The T-Rex was like fully CG in a lot of those spots, and like that was huge.
Yeah.
And there was a part of it where like the guy who was the lead of like the model department was like, this will never go anywhere. And then they like skip back to him later and he's like, yeah, I was fired, and it's like, that's rough. I'm not saying I'm hoping that like that stuff goes away or that like these people get fired or they don't have jobs. Cause like, again,
I mean, it does threaten some people's jobs. I don't think it's going to make them all go away.
No, but it's just like, there's still people like, there's still a level of like where practical and CG works really well together.
Yeah.
If you use them both right. And it's like, this is another tool for the arsenal. It's like, if I can build upon this stuff, I mean, that's what people do. It's like innovate on top of everything and use technology. And as computing power has gotten where it's gotten, we have the ability to do these things now.
Yes.
And it's like, if it aids in the process, it's just like ChatGPT. Like we've used it in different scenarios as a company and it aids in our process. We don't have the money to go hire another body to do what it can do.
It's a tool.
So it's a tool. Their animation, the rock, paper, scissors anime.
Yeah.
Some of the criticisms I had of it was the lip syncing. Like the drawn mouth movements of when they're talking. Some of the worst I've ever seen.
Well,
it was
a dub.
So bad. Well, no. Not that because of it's a dub. It's just because it doesn't look like somebody talking at all. It looks like garbage. Like, I think, like, it just didn't look good at all, and that's just because the AI didn't know.
So it like detracted you for like it took you out of the experience.
Was just garbage.
It happened to me a couple times with that, but like I kind of like the jankness. Like I thought it gave it a different style.
Yeah, I'm just saying because of there's some criticisms that it did poorly in, and that's some of the things you can't just fix. I think it would have been better to have it just generated without mouth movements, and then have somebody go in and draw them in, so there'd be like the perfect like enunciated lip shapes and everything, because that's a big thing. Because even when I'm watching something dubbed, I at least know somebody drew them with the intent of someone talking, and it looks like how somebody would talk, even though that the lips or in the what I'm hearing don't match.
No,
it still looks right.
Which they talked about that on the their podcast where they broke down like a lot of times they'd have to specialize or do negative prompts for certain things. So like you would like add in the prompts. But one of them was talking, and then one of the negative prompts was like frowning and smiling because they wanted to make the mouth close out, make sure that wasn't a part of the drawings and stuff.
And the loop back to the animator, a lot of the animations that he does in the 2D over to 3D is he does all the face drawings.
Oh, okay.
And so he does all of the physical movements, and then he puts in the faces on top, just so it's like, the face is looking the right way and the eyes have the right expression and all that. And that's easier to do than drawing like an entire new frame every time. If you only have to worry about the face, boom. I think that would have made their anime like 90% better. Like it would have doubled my experience.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
But it wasn't what they were trying to do. They were trying to do just
proof of concept.
Yeah, a wonderful proof of concept. And
I think
they did
it's
exactly
so early
what they were
on.
going for. Yeah,
it's so early on. Like,
I'm excited to see 5 years down the line what it can actually be used. There's going to be some AI built into these 2D animation softwares that people that are afraid of losing their jobs to will just be a button that they press. It's like, their automatic sky, rotoscope, whatever. You're not losing your job because that exists, but
it helped
it's there.
Me. It's a tool.
Saved you like an hour of like
Oh my
tracing
gosh.
trees.
It allowed me to offer a service that I really couldn't before because it took too much time.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like for the entertainment value, that's what's going to draw the immersion of this. So the joke is like if you want something to be adopted, it's going to move by one of two paths. It's like entertainment or like that's just the internet. That was the basis of why the entire industry developed, and that's the entire basis of why ChatGPT just started getting GPT. And then the other one was Stable Diffusion. Like the early adopters for this stuff, that is what is being used for, and then it develops into something that advertisers are like, okay, who is doing things on the platform that we can attach our brand to that won't look bad? And then money comes in and then it develops, which is like, I think what Marcus Brownlee said, ChatGPT hit 100 million users in 2 months or something silly like
the
that.
doubling or the whatever.
That was so
stat.
cool.
Yeah.
So it's like the value of it is a tool. Early adopters, whatever, do whatever you got to do with it to make it mainstream. But now that it's here, I'm so excited because Rick and Morty, every 2 years you might get a season with 10 episodes. Invincible, another 2 years you might get an episode. One Punch Man, JoJo Bizarre Adventure. Like there's really cool stories that people want to tell, and their only limitation is how long does it take me to move my pencil up, down, and fill in all the colors.
Yeah.
And it's like if I could get one of those every 6 months and half the time instead of a quarter of the time, or just continuously. It's like they put that together in 2 months for a 6-minute video with a team of 6 people with no process in place.
I thought they said 4 months. It was a 4-month project.
I specifically remember them saying 2 months, but maybe it was about a particular piece. Maybe that was just the editing part of it.
Gotcha.
Maybe.
I know I've heard them mention 2 months. But maybe
either way,
maybe it was just a section of it. But like a team of 6 people versus a whole studio with this technology, it's like you could be cranking out stuff all the time. And maybe this is the next like superhero phase instead of like, you know, Marvel's been running cinema for so long. It's like, oh, every year you get a new one. Maybe this is like animes. You know, in the next 2 or 3 years, this process will be developed enough. So anime is the new buzz thing, and Netflix and HBO Max, and everybody's got an anime now because you could pump them out as fast as you do a Marvel movie.
I'd like to see more fine-tuning in general that allows for more originality.
It's not production ready at all.
Well, no, it's not. It's not. But still, I mean, it's like there's a reason why we continue to talk about this stuff on the podcast, and it's because this is like the emerging technology. It's like we've seen cameras come up, and those are it's just like cell phones. Like it's all very iterative now. It's like you see these tiny, I mean, I can remember it's like every year when Apple would release an iPhone, you were just like, what
you could do that?
Yeah, like that's amazing. And it was just like leaps and bounds, and we just haven't.
Now we're bored with cell phones.
Well, I mean, they're all glass and aluminum bricks, and that's it.
The one thing I care about is just changing the freaking port on it. That's the most revolutionary thing I can
lightning.
think of.
But I mean, you got like the whole, like, it's not production ready, you know, that's like one mindset, but at the same time you got,
it's not a mindset, it's just literally what it is. Like in like a couple months, somebody's going to make a program that can do this, but it's not accessible for somebody to download it on the computer and make it happen yet. But it is like a whole bunch of duct tape right now.
Deepfakes were only around for like 12 months to 24 months before it got adopted straight into.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's not there yet for everybody to do it.
It's not. There's too many steps. I mean, they were talking about it, right? It's like there's all these things that go into it to help, you know, remove the jankness. Yeah. And it's like eventually right now, you wouldn't have to do that because it'll be purpose-built.
They have a workflow document that they can do probably, but again, it's like you can't hand this to like. It's not to the point where somebody can download it on their phone and then do it. And it's not that mainstream yet. But I know it's going to get to that point in like a year or two.
But the thing is with the Mandalorian, was the Mandalorian where they deepfaked Luke? Yeah. That show takes months of pre-production and production before it's even in the editing phase. So even though deepfakes were only 12 months old, they were considering using that during production while it was still like being
we're talking
at.
For the general public, not for companies.
Yeah, but it also wasn't really production ready.
Exactly. So if it's not production ready, but it's used on a production, it's still production ready. It was used in production.
Well, that depends. It depends on your outlook on that.
I don't think that's what the definition of production ready is.
It was used in a production. It was production ready.
I'm talking about a car. design
Yeah.
being ready for production where you can make 1 million of them and you're going to be confident behind them.
Yeah,
That,
right.
You're not going to be able to make 1 million of those deepfake looks and people be okay with that.
No, but that's the difference between like Ferrari, where they make like 2,000 of them a year, versus
Okay.
Ford.
Yeah, but we're talking
That's
about...
not true. That's not true. Because they did one deep fake during like a 10 episode period of one season for like
They
how long?
minimized that. That was like 30 seconds of screen time.
If it's in production, I don't know.
We just explained to you the difference.
I disagree. If it's a technology that's being used in production and it's acknowledged by Hollywood, it was used by Disney of all companies. That's the biggest one there is.
How do you not hear the words we're saying?
I hear you, but I think if it wasn't ready and they got to the post production and they looked at it, somebody would have said, "Cut the shot, cut the whole story. We won't even use this episode."
A piece of software is considered production ready if it's capable of meeting the demands of the users, including the ease of usability, reliability, and availability.
If it wasn't good, they wouldn't have released it.
That is
Hey, it was close
term.
though.
Exactly,
But it was
didn't
close.
look perfect.
Right, which I think what we're getting at is like, I think Disney took a chance and they got a lot of publicity over it.
Yeah.
Yet it was definitely a talking point. And you can't tell me that, maybe Feige was like, and some marketing guy was like, this is going to be big because no one else is doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's the same with the wall. Some people say it looks jank. Some people like it.
Yeah.
The wall.
I thought it looked...
It's the LED wall behind them where they do live action camera moves, which was another thing that probably
What's
wasn't.
it called? It's not called the wall. It's like the it's not the void
the
either.
sphere or the something.
Why can't I think of what
don't
that's
know what it's
called? Dang it.
In
It's something really
in your
cool
sphere.
too.
Volume?
The volume.
Yeah.
There you go. The volume.
Yeah.
And
I think what we're getting at is like, again, using something and it being production ready are still two different things, even though Disney used it.
Again,
we get
it's
what
a
you
proof of
mean.
concept,
yeah,
not
it's like using a beta. It's not really production
Yeah.
ready, but you could use it. You know what I mean? Like you could chat GPT.
I'm
It was
sure-
like a beta at first, but people were using it.
I'm sure film companies use beta versions of softwares for some effects.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, sometimes you just want
I
to be
think
able to
first
say you were the first.
Pixar- I think Toy Story was like built on some weird hacky put together thing, but again, it wasn't really production ready because they had to refine it into something. But it worked for just Toy Story.
Yeah.
It's not something that'd be like, all right, we're going to give it to 10 other people. Like you have to have people who know what's going on to make this thing work.
Now
That is not production
Now
ready.
you can download Unreal and
Yeah.
make a whole
Yeah.
video game out of it. It's going to be fun to watch this technology develop.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait.
I'm excited to see what happens.
I don't
and-
even think we've seen the beginning of it.
No. And that's what I think my biggest aha point will be when you can really generate something that's original. When it's like, I can't draw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can generate a drawing based upon kind of where you want to be, and you can refine little bits and pieces of it. And then it's like it used a knowledge set to create something original instead of like taking a bunch of things,
Yeah. Well,
and
I
being
was
like, this seems
thinking-
close enough.
I was even thinking for like kids, I bet there's going to be an app in the next 5 years or more where kids can take pictures of their beautiful, amazing drawings and tell it to like make a movie out of them. Be like, Mom, Dad, look at the movie I told my phone to make.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, be like, I made little Bobby run around and do this, and it animates the little stick figure thing they drew for him.
Well, they kind of already. They don't do it with video yet, but you can do like the stick drawings if you've seen like kids do it with like stable. I don't know if it's Stable Diffusion.
That was just an example, man. I mean, like any single drawing that they make.
Yeah, so
kids make better drawings than stick figures.
Like currently there was one program where it wasn't like on the App Store or anything. This is a code-based system where you would put in just a 2D drawing and kids would draw stick figures, and it would turn it into something that was photorealistic based on like a person's here and they're a stick figure and they're in this pose, and then it would impose like grass underneath and the sky and all this. And then there's already software that does like subject selection, and then even though it's a 2D image, you can convert that to 3D space, and it turns a 2D image into 3D models, so that person is now a 3D model in a 3D space with ground, and it's all taking guesses at what the things are.
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
so early right now. But and then Facebook already released converting, was it images to or text to video?
Yes.
So it's like, all right, describe your image that you just typed up, or maybe it interprets what you typed up. So it's like, I definitely agree. Within 5 years, that'll be super probably common by then.
Just generate whatever.
Yeah, make me a movie. I'm bored.
And I think that was one of the not argument, but I don't know, like one of the potential future outlooks, that it was like, eventually you just sit down and tell it what content you want to see.
Please, I hope so, because I love everyone's input, of course, but I get so many people that said, "Hey, I got an idea for a movie. You should make this," and I'm like, "Why should I make it? It's your idea. Why don't you make it?" I get those
I kind of
requests.
get it. I mean, you got the skill set.
Yeah, but like,
I mean, somebody who works on a line somewhere, is like, oh, this is a good idea for a movie. Like, they're not going to try to sell a script to somebody in Hollywood.
I know, but
which I get,
sometimes I think it's
like, if I have an idea for a car part, I'm not going to probably make it. You know what I mean? Like,
but you could now.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I could 3D print it.
Think of like how hard.
But again, I don't have that. I don't have any CAD knowledge. I don't. There's a lot of things that I lack, and to be able to go to somebody and be like, "Hey, I think this is interesting. What do you think?"
Well,
I get it.
I don't have any DaVinci Resolve knowledge, but it ain't gonna stop me.
Yeah, but you have editing knowledge. That's gonna, timeline editing. I mean, you've got some color wheels and things that you've done. There's some of that's. I mean, that's translatable to a certain degree.
Some of it.
It'd just be like, I've got still knowledge, but didn't have a ton of video, but I still picked up the Ronin and figured out some stuff.
You had drone knowledge. That was pretty. The controls, it being from the same company, some of that
a little bit
overlapped. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
But
it was pretty intuitive, though.
Yeah, they made a good system.
They made a great system.
And then think of all the people that lost their job because one camera could do 6 of those tasks.
Right? I could get rid of 9 other people on my set.
Yeah, seriously, that camera does replace like 6 people.
I get it. But I mean, that's just... I mean, think about it, right? It's like, that's just the evolution of things. And it's just been like those people that originally would have worked the line, learned how to program robots. You know what I mean? It's just like that stuff happened.
The dang backhoes took all my shovel industry.
I was like, yeah, exactly. I was laughing because 1923, the prequel to Yellowstone.
Shout out.
Don't watch it with your kids.
It's a small little TV show. They need some backing.
The love.
Yeah. But they were, during this period of time, I think we've talked about this, like a lot of things were getting switched over to modern conveniences at this point in the history of the US. So like indoor plumbing, lights, electricity, all those things were getting mainstreamed, and like appliances, dishwashers and washing machines and all the things. And the automobile was on the come up. And so like there's this whole part where they're trying to be like self-aware kind of in the show. That's kind of funny that it's like, where's my hitching post? And it's like, well, we had to make space for more car parking because like that's what people are doing. And it's like, again, they're all like, oh, that'll never work out. Everybody's still gonna be riding horses. And it's like, people just own horses for fun now because they can.
It's a cool little hobby.
Yeah, it's a hobby.
Expensive hobby.
It's a very expensive hobby.
But so is owning cars.
Yeah.
It's true. So it's just, it's just like anything.
Or like elevators. The story of the people who would press the button on elevators. Where they took a strike because they didn't like electric elevators and they all lost their jobs and they don't exist anymore or whatever.
Those elevator operators, they found their way.
Yeah.
People who hand draw things, they'll find their way.
I mean, those jobs didn't exist before at one point. They'll still exist afterwards.
Yeah. And I mean,
it's not the end of the world.
The AI is going to need some sort of gatekeeper. They're going to have to keep it, they're need some people to give me some firewalls so this AI doesn't get out and kill all humanity.
Add in some DNS.
Oh, yeah, that's some DNS.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Do you want to talk about your Tuesday tip?
So we can talk about the lack thereof.
Oh, man.
So I'm going to give some context here. That's what I was hoping to have this conversation. Daniel does not work for Triflix anymore.
No.
Everything was amicable.
We love you, Daniel.
And, we would hope that everybody would respect everyone's privacy here. Again, not that
his home address.
But if you want the deets, check the Twitter.
Yeah, but not that we have anything to hide. But everything's good.
No.
It was just sometimes it's time for a change and
moving on with his life. I'm proud of him.
Yeah. So we hired a new editor and his name is Nathan, and we'll bring him on the podcast. We like to bring the newbies on to put him in the fire. But But yeah, so in this time of transition, Tristan is working to help train Nathan on our systems and work through some of the editing. So during this period of time, there might be some stuff that we slack on just a touch because Tristan is only one man at the moment and he can only do so much.
One
I
day
made
he'll be two
another.
men.
Someday he'll be big enough to edit.
Yes. And paid projects take precedence at the moment because we are business.
However, if you donate to the podcast, we will move up your video editing
Heck
priority.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's donations at triflix.com. No, but anyways, so we did not do a Tuesday tip this week. I had some ideas, some things that we'll do hopefully soon.
Airdrop.
Yeah, that's a good
Could
one.
be.
Yeah. But anyways, we got a list of stuff. We have plenty of things to bring, but we just need help with the editing. So eventually we'll get there. We're hoping to bring something next week. So watch out for that. Appreciate your patience during this period of time. But again, client work
And the
takes
doctors.
precedence. And the doctors?
Patients in the doctors.
Oh, you're so funny. So yeah, so for better, for worse, no tip this week.
Oh,
Tip is, I don't know.
go outside. It's nice out.
It is, yeah, it is getting better, isn't it? We're moving our way towards spring.
Until like Thursday, then there's snow.
Ew.
Happy.
Because I'm happy. Anyways,
It makes me happy.
that's it. That's all we got, guys. This was episode 420.
You know what's up.
Thanks for chilling with us.
Thanks, dudes.
Thanks, man. Yeah. So go follow us. Triflix
Yeah.
Cast, Triflix LLC. We're on all the stuffs. Leave us a
All the
comment.
stuffs.
Comment on this video.
Tweet at us.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcast. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
As long as it's good.
A good one.
A good review.
We'll send you a $50 Amazon gift card if you do. Just kidding. That's
David
not real.
will. David will personally
Send you
from
smut
his
From
personal
my
bank account.
Just kidding. You get nothing. Bye.